Welcome to the Boating Insider Podcast. We're here at the PVA event in Portland, Oregon. I got that right.
In Oregon, where we're just seeing the sun for the first time in 4 days.
I know. Yeah, it's been raining nonstop, but I think they prepared us for it.
They did.
That's what we should expect. But Chris, Brian, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. So
Glad to be here.
I guess we'll cover a couple things, but if you can you give us a quick rundown of the operation? What do you guys do?
Well, we work for Interstate Navigation Company in Rhode Island, and we operate the ferry to Block Island. We operate a lifeline ferry service that runs all year round. It's a small community of 1,000 people on an island that's 7 miles long, north and south, by 3 miles wide. It's 13 miles off the coast of Rhode Island, and we're out there to service that community. And in the summer, spring, summer, fall, our fleet increases to a total of 5 boats.
Okay.
So we have 3 passenger vehicle ferries and 2 high-speed ferries that operate from Point Judith and Newport, Rhode Island, to service the island.
Okay.
All of which run from June till Labor Day, and then pre-Labor Day to Columbus Day.
Yeah, we have like a shoulder season,
3.
spring and fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Block Island has a community called the Town of New Shoreham, and there is a fire department and a school, and there are people that live over there year round. So you can't take a bridge to get there. So your only options are an airplane or the ferry.
And there's no tunnel, and we have to go every day. The only day we don't go is Christmas Day.
Interesting. And you guys are bringing that means that you're bringing vital resources, emergency services if needed, things like that?
We bring everything. Every single thing you can think that you use in your daily life, food, beverages.
I once ran over a pig on July 3rd with a forklift that was going over for the pig roast, and a guy put a pig on a pallet behind me, and I'm on the forklift, because, literally anything that the ice luge to go to the outside tiki bar that's going to be having shots run down it.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Even
then during COVID.
Even the pig.
You got to still, you're still bringing over the tests for COVID, and the people still need to get to
everything we carry, U.S. Mail, UPS, FedEx, vehicles of all shapes and sizes, bicycles, scooters, surfboards, people, suitcases, all the supplies you can possibly think of, cars, trucks, you name it, we bring it.
How many trips are you guys running each day?
This time of year, we do either 2 or 3 trips per day. In January and February, we have 1 day a week where the boat goes once and comes back once, just Tuesdays.
Okay.
At its height, there's 10 traditional ferries, meaning car, passenger, and palletized freight. At its height, there's 10 ferries a day, and along with the high-speed ferry, which does
6 trips a day. So there's 6 in the summer. There's like 16 opportunities a day that you can get to Block Island.
Wow.
Because of the volume of traffic. It's a tourist. It's a destination.
Yeah,
I grew up. It's a summer destination.
We transport about 80,000 vehicles a year in each direction, and are somewhere approximately around 300 to 350,000 people in each direction a year. So
wow. So
there's bigger ferry services out there. There's the biggest one in the country is right here in Washington State Ferry, and there's some bigger operators. So we're one of the mid-sized ones, but
nobody better.
Yeah, that's right. Nobody better.
So in being best,
we carry pigs.
Yeah, and being the best out of everybody, and
means
sometimes running over some
pig.
Yeah.
Aside from that, well, how do you guys keep an operation like that together? That's a lot of moving pieces. That's a lot of people traveling. You've got cars. Like, what are some of the things that you guys focus on to make sure either things are safe, things are running? How do you get out ahead of problems? Like, how do you guys view that?
Well, passenger safety is our number one thing. So whatever challenges the levels of safety that we're trying to achieve, anything that challenges that, that's our number one concern above everything. So everything from, and the Coast Guard has a long list of things that help us stay in compliance. So that's kind of what the two of us do. And we also, hire and manage all the crew members. So there's a lot to it, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good support, both higher than us, the owners, and definitely lower than us. And on the same, we have like probably the best port engineer that there is.
Oh,
To keep the boats running.
we're completely
have-
blessed to have great ownership and great employees and great management who work side by side with us. Coworkers are great. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Landside crews, both for Block Island and in Point Judith as well. Whether it be the ticketing people and the, we have a shipping department as well. So if you lived on Block Island and you needed a new dishwasher, you don't go to the store and get one. You might go to the store and pick one out, and then eventually
You have it delivered to Point Judith,
third-party
and
trucker
we bring
would
it to you.
come,
Yeah.
and there's people that are working there to do that as well.
So a big part of that, then the mindset's got to be company-wide of like, we're delivering this vital service, and you have to have that mindset in order to run this efficiently and keep it going. Interesting.
A couple of our captains, a couple of our deckhands, and landside employees live on Block Island as well. From Jim, one of our captains, he always says, it might seem like you're just got a job, if you will, but yet it is important to people that need to get to the doctor that day and to get back. So, as far as
So for
being
the
efficient.
so for the
being
guys who
able
live
to
there,
run every
they're
day.
completely invested in it's their livelihood, it's their lives.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a big responsibility.
it is. Yeah,
It's fun. That's probably the biggest thing.
we try to have fun. We definitely try to have fun. Yeah.
I think it's fun.
Well, aside from like running over pigs, what are some of the ways?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was. I guess that was fun.
I didn't run over it. I didn't say. It was very close.
All right.
I almost had. There would have been skid marks, and we still would have sent it over. But what's fun?
Yeah.
Both interacting with the customers, the guests, and the employees as well. And it's like a teamwork thing. So if you aren't,
Well, watching him with his, he's got this routine.
if you're not,
He's got this routine on rainy days. His routine on rainy days is quite comical.
What is it?
Well, I don't know. It's
I have no idea what he's talking about.
the hairball contest.
Oh, deck drain hair?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, that's boats have deck drains, and it's fun to go around on a rainy day and get all the hair out of the drains and send pictures of hairballs that are like this. Out to
Oh my
people.
God.
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
I guess you have to be there, but
It's all right.
Sometimes it turns into a contest.
Does it?
Yeah, it can.
Who gets the biggest hairball? Then you get a trophy at the end of the season.
I do.
He's the king.
You do?
Yeah, he's definitely the king.
The hairball king.
Nice. We can edit that. But no.
We'll edit it out.
Yeah, we can take that out.
No, it doesn't matter. So you guys did a presentation on car battery fires, or actually, all right. Can you lay out what the presentation was that you gave while you were here?
I did two. I presented.
Whoa, that's off script.
Well, I had a
I'm just playing.
45-minute presentation for other members of PVA. PVA is a member-driven organization. So what makes this association thrive is the fact that we have members who give presentations on ways that make their business successful, and we hope that other members benefit from things that I'm doing, and I in turn benefit frequently from things that other people are doing. So it's an information exchange program, and it's networking, and it's fantastic. And there's an old PVA saying that one or two good ideas could pay for your whole trip. And so if you're flying from the East Coast out to here, and you're here for 4 days, but part of that is you as a member you contribute. So I contributed. I did a presentation on how to have a successful Coast Guard inspection. It was about 45 minutes, and I went through pretty much the high points of what I go through to get a ferry boat ready for a Coast Guard inspection. And there's a lot to it. And, to get ready for one Coast Guard inspection, it can, if you consider every single thing that goes into it, it takes like a month. Servicing life-saving appliances, and that's included because you have to take them off the boat, send them out to get them serviced. Firefighting systems, you name it, there's a lot of stuff. You have to count your life jackets, make sure your flares, you name it, there's tons and tons of stuff. So anyway, I did a presentation on that.
And so in a presentation like that, what are some of the questions that come up? Because I've noticed with these PVA meetings and the different breakout sessions, it really is that. All these, whether they're captains or the owners of the company, they're talking about different facets. And then people have all questions that to some people, they might be obvious, like, oh, of course the answer is this, but not everybody follows that. So in a case like that meeting, what are some of the main questions that come up that people have?
Well, they'll ask me if a certain methodology for doing something to get ready for a Coast Guard inspection, what do I do that makes it work for me?
Okay.
Because they're doing, they might be painting all their thresholds yellow, and that checks off something the Coast Guard wants, or do I use a different color, or do I use a different type of paint that lasts longer, or what types of life jackets do you buy? There's any number of things.
Okay. But it's fostering that conversation to where people can actually reach out and see what other people are doing. Hey, here's what we're planning on doing or what we've done. It took me X amount of time or it cost me X amount.
Yes.
Is there a way I could do this better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'll be the first one to admit it that sometimes I do things that I could do it better. So I'm always seeking to improve. So
that's everything. But I think that's why everybody's here.
yeah,
I think that PVA refreshes you
Yeah.
from your day to day. You get bogged down in what it is you're doing at different times, and then when you come here, you know there are people doing things better, or to be quite honest,
using the resources wisely.
getting a better perspective.
Yeah.
So,
It's good for all that, for sure.
Yeah. And then so
you
that
bring stuff back to where
Yeah, you
we'll
bring-
bring stuff back to Interstate Navigation, and
That helps us run the operation a little better.
whether
We
it
hope.
be going from wheelhouse to Vessel Vanguard, and there's a plug for Vessel Vanguard,
thank you. Much
which I'm hearing looks a
Definitely.
lot more friendlier layout,
Yeah.
more user friendly.
Those guys have made it look really nice.
And
What
so
other
we're-
positive things do you guys have
and
to
so-
say about this?
And so so
Yeah.
as far as
Well, it's cool for
there's
us.
the regulation, and then the handshaking with the Coast Guard, and me brown nosing them, which I'm very happy to do because they're all very.
So for all the years I've been coming to the PVA conventions, I've met a lot of people from the Coast Guard, and sometimes you find out. Most of the time, I'm learning something from them. Sometimes you find out that they're learning stuff from us.
They have to be.
Yeah.
There's hundreds, if not thousands, of operations that are in all different places throughout the country. Like, and even I can speak for us. When we come here, we're learning things the whole time.
Yeah.
We're learning details about how different areas run things, what's different, what are the same, and then all ways that we can improve. Because we'll think that we're doing things that are the best thing ever, and then you get feedback like, yeah, you're like 80%, but here's what you're missing, here's what you need to improve. And it gives you a real world piece that you might not have gotten if you didn't meet somebody face to face.
Oh yeah, and I know if you look around this place right now, I mean, the volume of blue suits that are here from the Coast Guard, they have a really heavy presence. So they take a lot back to the office too, having interfaced with industry.
which is good.
Yeah, which is
We're like thankful that they do come.
sometimes it takes a little while for what they gain, the information they gain, and they take back to the headquarters level. It takes a little while for it to filter down to our street level at Interstate Navigation when our inspectors come out of our local sector office.
Yeah.
See, around the country, there's a sector for every piece of the coast of the United States, and a Coast Guard, they call them sectors, and then they report to a district, and then all districts report to headquarters. So headquarters responsible for everything. They filter it out to districts. Districts, I think there's 13 districts in the country, 14 maybe. And then inside of that, there's X number of sectors. So the district people filter out information to the sectors. So sometimes it takes a little while for the word to get out, but it's a lot better than it used to be with the digital era. So needless to say, the training that they go through meeting with all of us passenger vessel operators filters out into the community. The really good thing about the Coast Guard, they don't just send people from Washington, they send people from the local sectors. So we have the really great fortune of, there's a lieutenant commander who's here with us right now, who's from our home sector in Rhode Island. And he came out here for the express purpose of, he and I co-presented yesterday in a presentation about what a response looks like to an electric vehicle fire, what a response may look like to an electric vehicle fire on a passenger ferry. Yeah, so we did an exercise in our sector back home in Rhode Island / Massachusetts, where we had a simulated electric vehicle fire on our ferry, which was halfway to Block Island, and all the stakeholders were in the room, like all the emergency responders, fire, police, Marine units of law enforcement, Marine firefighting units, you name it, they were all there. So what was involved was setting up an incident command post, and the Coast Guard obviously would have overall responsibility for coordinating all of this, but it can be quite challenging to take all of those local, state, and federal agencies, get them all into a room with a ferry operator who's got a crisis on his boat, right?
Yeah.
And now you're trying to deal with something that, usually you hear, electric car fires aren't all that frequent, but I guess it's a thing. It can happen. You hear about it every now and again on the news, but it happens in a Stop and Shop parking lot, or maybe in a Walmart parking lot, or something along those lines.
Where you have your standard infrastructure in place to deal with it, but an emergency that takes place out in the middle of the water.
One of the biggest reasons you could have that fire is because the car is being charged. And something goes wrong with that process, and now the car ignites. So it's really not likely that we're going to have an electric car fire. My goal here is not to scare anybody.
Yeah.
It's not likely because we're probably not going to have a collision between a car and a fixed object on the boat, and we're not charging the car on the boat. But you never know, and it seems to concern the Coast Guard, and they wanted to prepare for this.
Well, it makes sense because those aren't you're in a situation where all of your standard response mechanisms are not readily available. They're not trained on that all the time. And then also, I did a quick interview with some of the guys from the Coast Guard District 13 up here about like a mass rescue event. And they said, look, we do these tabletop exercises because when the reality hits, it's chaos at the beginning. You have all these different people. PVA members usually end up being ones that will end up rescuing people because you have a boat that is designed to carry a ton of people, and you'll be there usually before the Coast Guard. But it's interesting that, it's good to hear that the Coast Guard even has that mindset too of getting out ahead of this stuff. Like, how do we make those connections with fire departments, police departments, the ferry boats, the Coast Guard, all, and run this exercise, even if that's once a year or every once in a while, but you already have those relationships built. So when you have to start communications in an emergency situation, like that stuff's in place.
We're doing it. We've run the exercise, and it's
when you know the players already.
That's
the communication and knowing the players.
That particular fire has very serious consequences. An electric car fire is going to be very difficult to put out. So again, my goal isn't to scare anybody, but it's not going to be easy to extinguish. And the primary purpose would be to turn the boat around and get back to the mainland as quick as possible. Okay. So you can get the people off the boat, get them safe. That's job number one. And job number two is get that car fire extinguished.
Yep.
In the meantime, whatever you're doing on the boat while you're trying to get back to port is just to buy you time to get back and get everybody safe.
Okay.
So that was the thrust and the genesis of it. There was a bunch of operational objectives for the exercise, and that's kind of what we went through along with lessons learned. And I could tell by reading the faces of all the people in the crowd at PVA, all the ferry boat operators that are members, I think they took away a lot. So it was good.
Is there even something you could do in that situation where it would be like, this might cause logistical challenges, but maybe say like, there's a portion on the boat that's maybe further away from where passengers usually are, and have the electric vehicles parked
Staged
close,
there.
like closer together, maybe towards an exit or like away from
Perfect
it.
world.
So yeah, and that's why I asked, like,
We might be
does
getting
it
to it.
exist,
It's
or
a-
is it kind of fantasy?
Well,
It's
not a fan. It's
situational,
good,
but-
and these good ideas are what go into planning. And don't forget, I mean, the car industry is moving a lot faster.
And a lot of stuff is going that
They're
way.
creating these vehicles a lot faster than the federal government can regulate how we transport them.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. So what we have to do is be prepared to deal with any type of shipboard emergency that comes up. And we have to be agile enough to be able to respond to these emerging challenges.
Because you're going to be solving these problems as fast as the Coast Guard will be solving these problems.
You know it.
Yep.
You know it. But I've said it all along, it's a partnership we have with the Coast Guard. And at PVA since, I think it's the mid-90s, we've had a thing called the PVA / U.S. Coast Guard Quality Partnership.
Okay.
So I'm part of a committee that goes to Washington, D.C. twice a year, and we meet with the Coast Guard, and we flesh these situations out, and we work on solutions for these types of emerging things. And we represent our industry, and the Coast Guard represents themselves at headquarters, and we have a great dialogue, and it's been very, very productive, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
That's awesome.
So it's yet another benefit of being a PVA member.
For sure. And it makes sense too, because I think everybody worries about regulations that come out that don't make sense. And you can also, by this approach, not only can you get out ahead of them, but you can do things to mitigate and promote that throughout the association, where the regulations don't need to be as strict or...
You can literally have a voice in writing them.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can tell the regulators this works and this doesn't. And, again, it's a partnership. That's why we're all in it. Some stuff we don't have any control over.
Yeah.
And they're going to tell us we have to do it no matter what. It's non-negotiable. And that's cool.
It's going to be that way
yeah.
sometimes.
That's the way it is. That's the way it is. But we have this partnership for a reason, and they give us the flexibility, and they come here to interact with us, and we all learn and grow through this process. So it's great.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up,
Thanks for having us, and sorry about the pig. I mean,
This is brought to you by Vessel Vanguard.
so where
Interstate Navigation.
so where can people get in touch with you guys? Either through LinkedIn or
Brian C. at blockislandferry.com.
Yeah, you can go to our website to contact the Block Island Ferry at www.blockislandferry.com.
Awesome. And then before we wrap up, is there anything else that you guys want to touch on?
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks to PVA.
Thanks to
Thank you,
PVA for this
PVA.
opportunity, and thank you for your product that we like. So we're happy with it, and it's all good.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'll take my check.